Good morning, Sean, again. I want to show you this. Isn't that amazing? Look at that. The lake is totally frozen. The sun is shining. And Shawnigan Lake is always here to be protected. Now, I thought I would read from Judge Sewell's decision today to let you know the words that he used to describe Marty Block. Let's see. The issue is Mr. Block was false. The board was misled into believing there was no conflict of interest. I am satisfied the board was misled about the true nature of the relationship between Active Earth and CHH. Mr. Block deliberately concealed that information from the board in his testimony on behalf of CHH. Now, this is interesting because in the next page, it says, now, Mr. Block was not being truthful, but whether it was perjury or not, it says whether Mr. Block committed perjury before the board, as pointed out in Granitale Incorporated, perjury requires perjury requires an actual intention to deceive. Now, wouldn't deliberately concealed, misled, false, not being truthful, it was false and misleading? I mean, wouldn't that all be intentional? Like, wouldn't that be perjury? Honestly, the judge basically talked his way around perjury. But Marty Block lied. I mean, it basically says here, I'm satisfied that the board ought to be made aware that the design of the facility and the tar presented to the delegate was prepared by engineers who were not independent and who stood to profit from the continued operation of the facility. That is a circumstance that goes to the heart of the integrity of the approval process under the EMA. The board and the delegate proceeded throughout the basis that Active Earth were professionals acting on a fee-for-service basis. Well, no, they weren't. Their fees were being put aside. They weren't submitting bills to the government because Marty Block didn't want to pay taxes on something that he hadn't paid yet. And God knows how much product they used up while they were doing this engineering, because it's an absolute idiot that did this. These guys are morons. By the way, they've never done this before. Never built a cell like this. Never had a quarry blasting at the same time as receiving contaminated soil. The government gave these boys everything they wanted. So it's a little surprising, and I'm still a little figuring this out, why Mary Pollack pulled the permit. Now, the only thing I can figure out is that they didn't have enough for the damage deposit. So once the checks started coming, it wasn't worth Mary's time to continue. She wasn't making anything from it anymore. So why bother holding on to a, dead rat, basically, because that's what they are. Or to say dead weasel. So, little strange. Just thought I'd let you know the words. Misleading. Oh, yes. And I forgot, lack of candor. Lack of candor. I really love this judge. He used every word but lie, fraud, and perjury. Misleading, deliberately concealed. I mean, it was just on and on. You could see his disgust in his face while he was being presented with the evidence. So, my question is how do these boys, boys I'm calling them because they're not men. Real men stand up for themselves, but they don't. They get their lawyers to do all their speaking points for them. So these boys are going to take us to court again. It cost us more money for our community so that they can clear their good name. Didn't have one to begin with, boys. Clear their good name and to get their permit back again, because now it's been sent back to the Environmental Appeal Board. Now, I don't understand this exercise because the permit has been pulled by Mary Pollack. So how are you going to get back a permit that doesn't exist anymore? It seems to me that this is all just more weasels running around in their little wheels in order to make more money for themselves and for Minion. That's the only thing I can come up with is it's got to be all about the money. They need to continue having the paychecks moving from Cox Taylor to SIA to CHH to SIRM and to the government. It all needs to be continually moving. So they obviously have a very, very good money laundering system going on where the checks need to continue. But somehow Mary Pollack just broke the chain. So it will be interesting to see They don't have money for a damage deposit for our environment, but they have enough money to take us to court. Yeah, things that make you go, it's all about the money for them. Follow the money. Find out who's bankrolling these boys. Then we can take them down. Thanks.